Hey, Guru. It is a day of a year. Let's see if I can find out where this is. It's July 9th, the year of our Lord 2026. It is not September or October, it is July. And I am sitting here with my delicious breakfast and my Welsh tea. There's been a lot going on, and I haven't made a video in a long time. So I wanted to cover a lot of it. I should probably lead with the unfortunate news, unfortunate for us here, that Ruth Hall, long-standing member of the Baha'i community here, has died. I think she died Monday. Today is Thursday. So she was a few months younger than my dad, so approaching 90 years old. She was vibrant and running around and kind of the same person as always until 2 months ago she had a stroke, and she's been in and out of the hospital since then. I think I saw her once after she came out of the hospital, but unfortunately she passed away. Her grandson, Royce, who she raised, is a couple of years younger than Taryn. Is probably his best friend, one of his closest friends for sure. And so he's having to deal with that. And Taryn's been spending a lot of time with Royce, which is good. It's, as you know, death is something that a problem for the living, but no grief for Ruth herself, grief for us with her being gone. Anyway, so Sarah's been involved in some of the ceremonies surrounding her death. I have not. I think it's not clear when more is going to happen, so we may miss that because we're actually leaving tomorrow to go to Portland for Bryn's baby shower, and Bryn and Beth and Carew will be there with Esther, so that should be a lovely time to see them. Yesterday, rude to eat in front of people, but yesterday I drove up to Colfax, spent the day with my folks, had a good time with them. Honestly, Mom was doing pretty well. Partially its expectations have lowered, so I took Mom and Dad down to the Palouse River, the walk in Colfax along the river. And Dad wanted Mom to go, and so I didn't give her a choice. I went and got the wheeled walker, which she has refused to bring. The last time I took him down there a month ago with her, she walked from the car to the gate, essentially the entrance of the walkway, and then I had to take her back to the car, and she sat in the car while Dad and I walked a mile, half a mile down and half a mile back. And this time I got the stroller that she can sit on, and so I felt more comfortable taking her a little farther. So we went to the gate and then to the second sign, which is twice as far as we went last time. At which point, I could tell that she was getting nervous about that distance, and so I sat her down there and gave her Dad's phone so she could call us, and she could see us the whole walk down and back, the half mile we walked. And she was in really good spirits. When I got there at 9:30 in the morning, she still wasn't dressed, but I think I told you we've been trying to talk to people about hospice for her. And the doctor wouldn't allow her to have a consult, wouldn't approve the consult with the hospice people the week before camp, so 2 weeks ago. She went to the doctor on Monday, and she got first time she got a formal diagnosis of dementia. But the doctor, it's interesting because Linda talked to the doctor, and there were a couple things that the doctor said about hospice that Linda knew were factually inaccurate. And in addition, the doctor didn't know that if mom was not in an institution and had not seen a doctor in the previous 36 hours and died, it would require a investigation, possibly an autopsy, according to Washington state law. Pretty significant piece of information for the doctor not to know. So I'm not thrilled about that. I'm not angry. I was pretty unhappy when Linda came back and told me these things, and Linda was at the doctor's appointment. But it is what it is. I talked to mom and dad about it, and it's funny because I have a friend here in town who, a tribal member, who's got her auntie has lived with her for the last 3 years. She's cared for her mother's sister. Also has a diagnosis of dementia and has been on hospice for 3 years. And she said it's been really wonderful to have that support and those services. And I just don't understand why the doctor, mom stands up from her chair with the walker yesterday and she's dizzy because she doesn't have enough oxygen. She has congestive heart failure. She sleeps, she gets up for the doctor visit, right? And I don't know why the doctor doesn't understand that's what's happening. And mom comes in, oh, I'm fine, I'm great, But anyway, I had a great day with she and dad yesterday. We went for a walk, came back, bought sandwiches, picked up their medications at the drugstore, and then I hung out in the afternoon and just chatted with them about life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And dad really enjoys those conversations, and mom was actually quite engaged, which was good. So like I said, she had a good day, but like I said, the standards, they lower. And when I was up there 2 weeks ago was when she had the panic attack in the car. I walked from inside the house to the car to take them in for a pedicure, and she couldn't breathe in the car and had a panic attack, and was worried that she wasn't going to make it. Which apparently happens fairly regularly. She has these panic attacks because she can't breathe. And I think dad said that, he regularly wakes up in the middle of the night and looks over to see if she's breathing because he's half expected her not to be. So yeah, that's where we are with them. Like I said, it's all good. I mean, I know I say this over and over again, but I go up there and they're like so happy to see me and so thankful that I spend 5 hours with them, and it's 5 hours is about the most they can do in a day. They're both exhausted after that. And they're, mom wants to sleep. Dad wants to sit in the chair and listen to the radio. But it's, I feel super lucky to get that time with them. Camp was great. It was really stressful for me because I'm a wuss and I was teaching a class, and so I was worried about my class, and I also help organize the talent show, and that stresses me out. I want to make sure it's okay. It's not a talent show, it's a variety show. Not allowed to call it talent because, the world we live in today. So that was good. I also drove out every morning to get signal. I'm still trying to sell the Land Cruiser. We were at camp, and I had every day I had 2 to 3 people sending me messages about the Land Cruiser the weekend lead up to the 4th of July. People are like, can I come see it? Can I come see it? And I'm like, sorry, I'm out of town right now. And we get back and nothing. like, I think I missed my window. That was the window to sell it. So who knows what's going to happen. We're leaving today. We'll be in Portland for the weekend. We'll be back here on Sunday. And then on Monday, we're heading out to go to Cape Cod, come visit you on the way. So, yeah, I'm not sure. It may just be August. And then who knows? Who knows when it'll sell. Luckily, I'm not desperate for the money right now. Yeah, that's what we've been up to. The World Cup. I want to talk to you about the World Cup. I know I saved that for last because I know it's the boringest thing, and I could go on and on about it. But, God, since I actually watched the U.S. game live. I missed the first Belgium goal, but I started watching it live in the 10th minute or whatever, just shortly after they scored the goal was when I got it up on TV. And, you know, it's funny because I know I've been listening to Landon Donovan and Tim Howard's podcast and watching the team and the concern about the team not being as committed to the endeavor as past teams have been. And I think I've talked to you about this before, but I believe that Jurgen, you know, I also went back post World Cup and watched some podcasts interviewing members of previous World Cup teams. So the 1990, the 1994 team, obviously the 98 team was a disaster. We were the worst team in the World Cup under Sampson, the coach, and all kinds of this crazy drama in the team. And then, of course, 2002, we go to the semis. And I get so frustrated at the media because 2002, clearly the best performance we've had in the modern era. And that team, and in all of those World Cups, we competed. You know, we didn't. That Belgium loss was just embarrassing. Like, it's like, well, as you know, I don't know. I think Jimmy Conrad on their podcast said, you know, we got punched in the face as a team, and we didn't respond at all. You know, we had 2 shots in the first half. One was that free kick that scored the goal. That was the first shot of the game, was that free kick. And then we only had one other shot in the first half, and it was Balogun had a chance in front of the goal, which he put over the crossbar. It was a tough chance. He was off balance and everything. But, you know, we're down 2-1, but we didn't even look like we were in it. We're not fighting. I didn't see any sort of outward, you know, nobody did anything to try to change the tenor of the game and get people pumped up again. And it was like, and what I think it is, honestly, under Klinsmann, we went up until Klinsmann from like 1990 through 2010. We had this, the thing about the U.S. team was nobody wanted to play them because they were relentless. And we weren't that good, like we weren't that skilled, but we went out and competed as hard as possible every minute of the game. And European players and teams hated playing the U.S. because of that. And in some ways it felt like we were naive because of that. And they're like, God, just give up. You can't do it. But that attitude is what allowed us to compete with, you know, we were a bad call away from tying Germany in the semis in 2002. You know, we competed in 2006, where we had a bad World Cup. We're the only team that didn't lose to the eventual champions, Italy. We drew them. You know, and Landon Donovan had a great game against Italy, and everyone forgets that. You know, he didn't show up in the other 2 games. He didn't play well. In some ways, like Pulisic in this, where Pulisic had a great first half in that first match against Paraguay, and then he was injured, and then he just kind of never showed up again. He just, and it's like our players think they're good enough now. We're good enough. We've got the pedigree. We're good enough. We show up on the field and just play our game and we're going to win. And they don't have that extra grit and determination and a little bit of anger under the surface that gets you through when you're not good enough. And against Belgium, they weren't good enough. And Belgium were mad because of the whole Balogun thing and Trump claiming that he allowed, which I kind of doubt is even true that he had any real influence on that decision. But it's just kind of heartbreaking. I mean, and it's not that these guys, the older generation, want to think they're better than the previous generation. They see it missing and they criticize this younger generation, and the younger generation feels like it's sour grapes. But, in that match, the only guy that I saw, like, without any outward attempt to jack up the team and get them competing was Berhalter. Berhalter was getting stuck in on tackles. He had that one shot that just missed, and afterwards he's like trying to get everybody going, and it's like there was no urgency from the whole rest of the team, and it's frustrating. And goalkeeper made a bad mistake. I feel bad for him for what's his name, Matt. I like him as a goalkeeper. I think he's good. I think he just needed to clear the ball. And it's funny because Tim Howard was saying, this is a product, like he said, when Tim Howard was like, when I was coming up in that situation, you didn't think twice, you just cleared the ball. And there's been this whole thing about building out of the back, and your coaches tell you, he said, when I was coming up, you come out of your box to shut down a promising attack and win the ball, which was a great decision. And then you control it, or you clear it out. And he said, all I would do, I'd clear it out. And my coach was like, great decision. Good job. That's what you do. You clear it out in that situation because now it's like, no. You've got to distribute correctly. And if you don't distribute correctly, it's like, well, good job coming out, but next time try to think about the distribution. And that's what happened was, I think, is it Matt Reis? Matt Reis comes out, controls the ball, and he's looking to make the pass. And I think the Belgian player, he thought the Belgian player was going to fly by him. And the Belgian player touched his back as he was about to kick that ball. And he had this moment of panic that he was going to steal it off his foot. And instead of just clearing it or making the pass, he paused. It caused that moment of pause. And then he tried to clear it, but he was panicked and under pressure and hit it right to the other Belgian player. And I totally understand how that happens. But I feel bad for him. Don't blame him at all. It was a mistake, but that kind of thing happens. But then the entire team just folded up, except for, I felt like, Berhalter. And I know that's not fair because Tyler Adams and, there's a bunch of good players on that team who have a lot of heart. But as a team, it's like they don't know how to deal with it when they come up against a team that's better than them. They don't compete with teams that are better than them. And I blame Klinsmann because I think this team, we could have developed the skill while maintaining the culture of competition that we had that made us competitive before we had the skills. And if this group had the competitive culture that previous groups had, I think we would have been, we would have at least made a game of it against Belgium. We wouldn't have gotten blown out and embarrassed. And it kind of breaks my heart that we did. And I kind of like these. I kind of like Pulisic, but I like Adams. I like McKennie, Balogun. What's not to like? I feel bad for Tim Ream. Tim Ream is a great player, but he's one of those U.S. defenders where the only thing anyone ever remembers is what he does wrong. because he's not a big imposing specimen and he doesn't do these crazy physical things like out competing people. So I feel bad for the team, but I also it's kind of like you could see it coming. The last 8 years, you could see it coming. You could see it coming in the prep. There wasn't the level of commitment there has been in the past. And it's just, and this is why Donovan and Howard last summer complained about players taking a pass on the Gold Cup. And it's interesting because I listened to their podcast, and if you read different news outlets that are taking what they said and republishing it, you go listen to their podcast because they're actually incredibly empathetic to the team, and they're not being mean. They're not picking on them. They're just saying, this is what happened, and I feel bad for these guys, but this is an opportunity for them to improve. But the quotes that you get in the newspaper are only the little tiny, or the other websites are only the really harsh sounding things they said in between all of those qualifying statements. This is my dream for the tournament. I want France to get knocked out. I'd like to see Messi score a couple more goals. Love to see Norway or England win it. I suspect that what's going to happen is going to be either Spain or France. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.